Talk to some of my colleagues who are Republican, Independent, and Democrats. All spectrums are frightened by what's happening at Texas Tech.
Former Texas Tech professors claim system leaders are harming the future of the university by what they believe is stifling academic freedom in the classroom. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Abner is off tonight. They are condemning the recent course content changes imposed across the university system, telling KCBD that Tech is taking a step backward, claiming they need to talk about this since current faculty, they say, are afraid to do so. KCBD News Channel 11's Aubrey Harris joins us now in the studio with a dispute surrounding the course guidelines. Aubrey?
Karen, the Texas Tech Board of Regents imposed the changes on April 9th. Since then, numerous critics of the new standards have come forward against the changes. And after our most recent report on the claims of censorship regarding gender identity and sexual orientation, former Tech professors who taught students for decades reached out to KCBD with concerns about how this will limit academic freedom in the classroom.
Quite frankly, it's going to turn Texas into a backwater. It's going to take places like Texas Tech, University of Texas, and the Texas A&M system into a very dark place where universities simply can't go.
Gary Bell helped create the Texas Tech Honors College. He believes the new course content guidelines are jeopardizing the entire university.
I feel very strongly about Texas Tech. I love Texas Tech. And I think what the chancellor is saying, quite frankly, threatens the entire purpose for why universities exist.
Chancellor Brandon Creighton wrote the state law imposing these changes when he was in the Texas legislature, building off of the state restrictions on DEI in the classroom.
It was the next iteration of, addressing governance reforms over upper level hiring and over course content that would match expectations for today's economy that's quickly evolving.
Creighton claims the new changes are meant to be efficient for students.
Our curriculum should match for an immediate hire for a position with a company that would pay a very good starting salary, extremely competitive or greater, and that's what our students expect. Our students are working so hard day in and day out.
But critics of his plans, like retired Professor Ted Reed, says the efficiency model of Creighton's removes a university's learning environment.
If you want to be the most efficient possible, you would just give the student a book or 4 books and say, read these books, this is what you need to know, and you can be prepared for a job, period. Why go to a university? What's the point?
They are primarily concerned with academic freedom, which Chancellor Creighton claims was protected throughout the review process of the 14,000 courses in the system.
I teach history. What happens if someone decides that it's not efficient, it's not necessary information for me to teach about because someone has determined a different perspective than I happen to have? This is the danger. This is the horrific outcome of what the chancellor's saying.
Both Bell and Reed say current faculty members are afraid of critiquing the new plan, fearing backlash for any comments.
When I heard I had just retired from the medical school, and I heard that they told the people in the medical school, you cannot talk about these things, period. And there was an uproar, but it had to die down because what are you going to do? These are the rules. And that's censorship. Pure and simple.
Bell believes these changes will in turn impact the future of the entire state.
Ultimately, this is going to throttle academic freedom and future progress coming out of Texas Tech University. It's also incidentally going to prevent a whole lot of brilliant minds from coming to Texas. It's quite literally going to stifle Texas's ability to attract the best and brightest people to teach our students.
Courses flagged by the Academic, Clinical, and Student Affairs will be phased out of the Texas Tech system. Those made up less than 5% of the courses offered. A freeze is now in place for admissions into degree programs and classes deemed to center on sexual orientation and gender identity. Karen?
Thank you, Aubrey.